22nd of February, 1:11 p.m. Naruhodo's Legal Consultancy. Whew, we made it back in one piece. Just. To be perfectly honest, I thought we were finished there for a while. Oh, I know. What a lot of close shaves. There are so many carriages on the streets of London, you were very nearly flattened several times. Oh, no, I didn't mean that. Yes, I know. It was a marvelous defense, Naruhodo-san. It really was. I was in awe of you. Oh, thank you. And now that your fervent exploits have won us some more precious investigation time, let's see if we can't find some new clues for court tomorrow. Yeah, let's do that. Is everything alright? I suppose. I still can't quite believe it, that's all. That I'm here in England working as a lawyer, I mean. In the Old Bailey, no less. The truth is, it shouldn't be me, should it? It should be him standing in my shoes. It should be Kazuma. It was Kazuma-sama's wish that you follow him to Great Britain and work alongside him. Yeah, I mean, I never had the chance to ask him exactly why, but he clearly had a plan. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for him. And you're doing wonderfully, Naruhodo-san. I have no doubt that Kazuma-sama would say exactly the same if he were here with us. Thank you, Susato-san. Thank you. Alright then. So, what do you think about this? You've been wearing that ever since we arrived in Great Britain, haven't you? Well, it's what shows that I'm a lawyer, so it seems appropriate. I'm not sure that it really means much in this country, though, I'm afraid. I wouldn't say that. It might not be official, but it looks official. Often when the police stop me, I just show them this and they leave me alone. You're stopped by the police? Often? Well, you know, I'm a suspicious foreigner, dressed all in black with a sword at my side. I do think it's probably the sword that is the main reason. Still, it makes me happy to see you wearing it, and the armband. Yeah, I made up my mind that I'll carry them always. The symbol of who I am, and the sword Karuma. Sato-san, what do you make of this? Oh dear, what indeed? Let me see. If you don't know, really, it's fine to say so. I won't hold it against you. Okay. Sato-san, what do you make of this? Okay. I'm just gonna go through all of them, just to do a little recap. See if we can't find anything new about any of this. Okay, the soap's still empty though. Susato-san, what do you make of this? Ah yes, the soap that we found on the ledge outside Mr. Shamspeare's blocked up window. Since we discovered him poisoned, I've been scared to wash my hands. I keep thinking the foul soap is gonna be the end of me. Well, the soap's bad name was cleared in the end, wasn't it? I suppose so. But I'm still worried about it. I think it would be safer just never to wash my hands again. I think you haven't thought that through. You will wash your hands, Naruhodo-san. You will. Okay. Susato-san, what do you make of this? Oh. Susato-san, what do you make of this? Nope. Susato-san, what do you make of this? Unless you put coins in this meter, of course, it won't give you any gas. The British have some really chilling inventions, don't they? Sorry. Well, you could die on a cold winter's night if you weren't able to light your stove. I suppose in a way, one little coin could be the difference between life and death. Personally, I'd break the meter and find a way to light the stove somehow. Oh no, the meter might explode if you were to tamper with it, Naruhodo-san. The gas companies have it all buttoned up, don't they? Alright. Let's converse. It was quite a shock earlier today, wasn't it? When the victim himself turned up in court and took the stand. I know. Not only that, but then finding out that he is actually a bare-faced gas thief as well. Yes, that was certainly a surprise to us all. For a while, it seemed as though everyone had quite forgotten about Susaki-san poisoning the tea. Careful of your phrasing, Susato-san. He didn't poison anything. And there's more to this Mr. Shamspear than we yet know. I'm sure of it. Mr. Shamspear certainly wasn't the noble, upstanding man everyone thought he was at first. What's become of him, actually? I was told that he'd be returning to the hospital ward where he was receiving treatment. Oh, which one is that? Let me see. Ah, yes, he is at St. Bartholomew's, or Bart's as Londoners call it. We know that place, don't we? Yes, we visited Miss Green there yesterday. It is the same hospital to which she was taken. Ah, yeah, after Susaki-san stabbed her in the back. Do be careful of your phrasing, Naruhodo-san. He didn't stab anyone. Perhaps we both owe Susaki-san an apology. St. Bartholomew's. Yeah, we should probably visit the hospital later. Alright. Kazuma Soge, the best friend I ever had, and a lawyer with such promise. He really saved my bacon in that horrible incident just before we left Japan. I can still picture him now, looking so fierce and determined in court. And then after the trial, that crazy idea he came up with. As a stowaway? Yes, you can fit inside my trunk if you curl up small enough, I'm sure. No one will know. Kazuma, won't you tell me why? Why go to these lengths so that I can accompany you to Great Britain? Well, it's been on my mind ever since we got through that trial, that you really ought to go into law. Be a defense lawyer. You've got a natural talent for it. Believe me, I guarantee it. But I've never even thought about becoming a lawyer. Well, I can't force you, obviously. You will have to decide for yourself. But anyway, London is the cultural capital of the world, the city at the forefront of everything. It can't hurt for you to see it with your own eyes. No, that's true. I suppose, though, if you were to become a lawyer, then one day... One day what? Oh, no, never mind. Naruhodo-san. Oh, sorry, I was just thinking about Kazuma. Yes, he is forever in my thoughts too. To change the Japanese judicial system for the better, that was his dream. And that is why he so desperately wanted to come to Great Britain to study, of course. Yeah, that's right. But... yes, I do wonder if his true intentions lay elsewhere sometimes. I don't know. The thought just takes hold of me every now and then, that's all. Naruhodo-san, what do you mean by Kazuma-sama's true intentions? I mean this. His katana. I never expected to inherit the sword after Kazuma passed away, of course. No, I know. It was because I asked you to take it. When I have it at my side in court, I feel as though it gives me courage. Yes. Actually, the night before he died, he told me a little about the sword. Karama? That's right. It is a prized sword that's been passed down through generations of the Asoge clan. A Japanese man's sword is his soul, Rinosuke. I can't be parted from my katana. Karma guides me. I truly believe that. So its name compels its wielder to slice evil in two? Not that you would need much compelling. On that subject, there is something very important that I have to do in Great Britain. Something you have to do? Yes. I'd appreciate you seeing it through with me. Of course I will. Whatever it is, I'll see it through to the end with you. I knew you wouldn't let me down. What did he mean by something very important that I have to do? I had hoped that the answer to that question would become apparent when we arrived here, but as yet I have not found a single clue. I see. So, we know that Sasaki-san took tea to the victim on the night in question, but as he isn't the culprit, then obviously, yes, the poison surely wasn't in the tea. But if that's the case, how on earth did the poison get into Mr. Shamspear's body? I am sure we'll find a clue at the scene. There must be something in Mr. Shamspear's room that will help solve the mystery. Well, naturally, Scotland Yard detectives have been over the place already, but it couldn't hurt for us to have another look around, I think. Definitely. And I'm desperate to know the outcome of the investigation into the tea left in the bar of soap. Well, if we run into Inspector Gregson, we could ask him about that. Alright. Well, that's settled then. Let's go back to the crime scene. Perhaps we should put the spade away somewhere. That is not a spade, Naruhodo-san. It is a shovel. No, shovels are for digging. That's for scooping up loose material. It's a spade. No, spades are for digging. That is for scooping up loose material. It is a shovel. Well, it doesn't really matter, does it? You're so right, Naruhodo-san. We mustn't quarrel over such trifles. On reflection, then, I think I'll leave the spade where it is. Yes, I think that is for the best. We may need a shovel when we're working in the garden. These tanks are for keeping sea creatures. They're called aquariums, and they were all the rage in London one time, apparently. Yes. The English are so clever coming up with the idea of having ocean life on display in the home. And it means we always have an emergency midnight feast on hand, too. I'm not sure that is really the idea. I heard that there's another room behind that door. Yes, it is my bedroom, Naruhodo-san, as you will know. Shall I help you unpack your things? That is very kind, but no thank you. Your luggage looked very heavy. Are you sure I can't help you move it? That is very kind, but really, no thank you. A young maiden's private chamber is a place of bittersweet secrets, you know. The only secret I have is a 5 yen banknote hidden on the backside of my Dharma doll. Oy vey. Alright, let's get out of here. Let's go downstairs. Let's go say hello to Mr. Holmes and Iris. If they're here. I'm sure Iris is here. Oh, Runo and Susie. Hooray, you're back. Hello, Iris. You're in fine spirits as always, I see. I am, and you look as immaculately presented as ever, Susie. Oh, you flatter me. Well, you couldn't have come at a better time. I've just made a pot of tea. I'll set some cups. Really? Thanks, Iris. But actually, what is that foul smell? Aha! The Wanderers return at last! Where on earth have the pair of you been? We've been in court. Oh, for Mr. Moustache's case. That was today, was it? I'm sure I mentioned it only yesterday, Mr. Sholmes. I'm sure you think you did. Well, we can laugh about it now. So tell me, how did the trial go? Reasonably well so far. We've managed to escape without a guilty verdict, at least. Really? I would have liked to see it. And I must pass the time of day with Mr. Reaper again. It's been too long. Is Lord Van Zieks an acquaintance, Mr. Sholmes? Naturally. There's not a person in the world who doesn't know my name, Mr. Naruhodo. Not quite what I asked, but still. Mr. Sholmes, whatever is that odor? Yeah, what is it? It's faint, but absolutely awful. Ah, indeed. That is the scent of victory, my dear fellows. Victory in science. Oh, dear. Alright, I'll bite. What's he up to now? Is he dissecting some sort of animal, or what's going on? What are you doing, Sholmes? So, what is that indescribably foul smell? Ah, well, most probably this, I would say. What is that? My dear fellow, it is, of course, my latest invention. A chemical test that can identify whether or not a tea is genuine at the drop of some tea. Oh my. There are some unscrupulous sorts manning the stalls along some of London's less frequented streets. They regularly sell what purports to be high-quality tea, but is in fact merely dyed leaves of drab flavor. Well, that's certainly unsavory behavior. So, when one is presented with what appears to be black tea, one must be careful. Iris? Ready, early? Let us add a drop of my chemical to this cup of tea here. Do you see what happens? It's turned completely black. And what a foul odor it's giving off. Indeed, the blacker the tea becomes, and the more foul the odor, the better the tea is. It would appear that this cup was a particularly fine Darjeeling. That's very ingenious. But what do you do with that black liquid now? Why, dispose of it naturally. Surely you wouldn't like to drink it, would you? There does seem to be a rather obvious problem with your new invention, Mr. Sholmes. Hence why this chemical test is merely a test, my dear madam. Right. The point is, we are entering a new era of science in the world of criminal investigation. Also, yes, forensic science. Oh, these are such exciting times. I regularly engage in the scientific experimentation alongside my unofficial consulting detective work. The Herlock Sholmes method will be the foundation upon which modern investigative technique is based. This little tea indicant was a happy byproduct of my ongoing forensic science research. Forensic science? I suppose I should find out more about that. Sure. So, your tea test. Is that an example of forensic science? Indeed it is. An essential tool in cases that hinge on the knowledge of whether some tea is of high or inferior quality. Not a huge number of cases, then. Perhaps a more practical example is required. Fingerprints? Not yet accepted in court as evidence, I might add. Really, we are dragging our heels there. I hadn't even heard of them until recently. Which is partly why I undertake research in this field myself, of course. Does that mean you're studying fingerprints, Mr. Sholmes? There are others in that field already, and I abhor the company of inferior minds. Now, what I'm researching is skin prints. Skin prints? A nomenclature of my own design, as is this chemical agent that makes it possible. It instantly reveals objects touched by whichever person is under investigation. Brilliant, Mr. Sholmes. As long as it doesn't turn everything completely odorous and black. I assure you, my dear fellows, you will witness my forensic talents in action very soon indeed. Alright, we'll take your word for it. Lord Baroque Van Zeeks. Yes, it is an interesting sobriquet he has, isn't it? The Reaper of the Bailey. Once the legendary prosecutor has fought for someone's conviction, that person is doomed. Even if he or she is found not guilty by the courts, sooner or later the hapless soul will vanish from the capital. But vanish how exactly? By falling under a passing carriage, or drowning in the Thames, or succumbing to a sudden fever, or quite out of the blue being set upon by a highwayman. There are numerous routes to one's final terminus, my dear fellow. It all seems a little far-fetched, really. Well, on the bright side, Mr. Moustache is fighting fit, for the time being at least. That's not overly reassuring. If the rumors are true, though, the obvious conclusion would surely be that those acquitted are, well, by Lord Van Zeek's own hand. As it happens, Mrs. Otter, that is quite impossible. Oh? Why? Naturally, the man very quickly came under such suspicion. However, whenever these incidents occurred, the Reaper always had a cast-iron alibi. Really? And so, his reign continued. But 5 years ago, he vanished from the court, never to appear as a prosecutor again. That is, until you arrived in the country, Mr. Naruhodo. Yeah, so I've heard. In fact, it was the very day I arrived when I was thrust into that trial at the Old Bailey. That bitter fight to the death conceded with the Reaper's resurrection. And really did end bitterly indeed. And here you are, facing Mr. Reaper again. Poor Bruno. I don't know if you're just incredibly unlucky or incredibly unlockable. I think it goes deeper than just me. I sense a general loathing of all Japanese people. With Mr. Natsume, who I'm currently defending, being Japanese as well as Mr. Sato and myself, I felt it even more keenly in court today. For some reason, Lord Van Zeek seems to have an inherent disdain of the Japanese. Indeed. It is an interesting observation. Do you know something about it? Do you, Mr. Sholmes? It was about 10 years ago that Baroque Van Zeek chose to enter the legal profession. However, before that time, the young man's closest companion hailed from the Empire of Japan. No! What the? Tell us more, Mr. Sholmes! What happened? I believe I've made it clear before. I am unable to tell you anything about the affair. Oh, but... The veil will be lifted on the events of the past in due course, I have no doubt. For now, however, it is Mr. Moustache who is most deserving of your attention, I believe. Huh. Well, I think we should go back to the scene and see if we can uncover any new clues. That's the spirit, Reno. See you later. Yes, until later. No, Mr. Sholmes. We were thinking you'd come with us. You will? Yeah, of course. You said so just a moment ago. You said we witnessed your forensic talents in action. Ah, yes, I do recall saying something along those lines, but you go on ahead. I shall be sure to follow you later. In all likelihood. Probably. Maybe. Well, I might. Your commitment astounds me. Oh, thank you, Mr. Sholmes. We'll eagerly await your arrival. Bye-bye, Reno. Bye, Susie. Alright. I was actually thinking about examining the room first before we... Before we went out. Iris? That's incredible concentration, that is. I find it quite remarkable how she can focus on so many different things at once. Perhaps I should try drinking a more herbal tea. A blend third from the right will be good for you, Reno. Iris? This girl is destined for great things, I'm sure. Huh. If I remember correctly, this large and imposing lump of iron is called a typewriter. To think that every single one of the adventures of Sherlock Holmes blossomed from this very machine. Ah, it is such a dreamy thought. I actually had to go on it the other day. The metal bars that move when you hit the keys got all tangled up somehow, and that made Iris angry. Mr. Naruhodo, you're ruining my dreamy thoughts. Please don't do that again. Oh, now Mr. Satosan angry as well. I'm such a failure. That's a charming little white shelf, and full of charming little bottles too. Oh yeah, but don't touch any of those. They might explode. Ah, a charming shelf full of charming bottles full of charring ingredients. You know, early mistakenly drank from one of them the other day. What? And how? I think he was lucky though. He hasn't exploded yet. Chemistry can be a very hazardous occupation. It's living with Mr. Sholmes as the hazardous occupation, if you ask me. Ah yes, this is where you note down ideas, isn't it, Iris? So, what's on the blackboard today? Buck up, Bruno. What's this? Oh, I'm just playing around with the ideas for the title of next month's installment. Another idea I had was the barrel coronet. I'm really torn about which one to use. What do you think, Reno? Anything but Buck up, Bruno, obviously. I suppose you're right. I'll tell you what, I'll surprise you with it. You'll have to wait until next month and see. Oh, so many sleepless nights. Huh. It always strikes me how pretty and neatly arranged this tea set is. It's my favorite one. In fact, I think it's high time for afternoon tea. Wait there, I'll fetch the special blend that I prepared for today. Oh, Iris, you do love your tea, don't you? She looks so happy at the prospect. And after you've drunk it, I'll collect some experimental data, if that's alright. Just what is she about to make me drink? You know what? After second thought, I don't think I'm in the mood for tea. So I'm just gonna go. Look at all these mementos of Mr. Sholmes' past cases. You know, Mrs. Sada's eyes still sparkle every time she lays eyes on them. But yours don't, do they, Rena? Well, I have read The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes now, by order of Mrs. Sada. But the trouble is, having seen the real thing in action, somehow the stories don't quite ring true for me. Well, he does solve the cases, in the end. I suppose so, Perhaps there is more to the great detective than meets the eye. Maybe he's not a fraud after all. It's curious how this enormous metal chest is being used as a coffee table, and even more curious to think that Iris's father's notes about Mr. Sholmes' cases are inside it. You mustn't look in there, Reno. Those notes are a secret between Daddy and me. And Mr. Sholmes isn't somehow in on the secret? Early tends to forget, you see, as soon as you solve the case, in fact. Once, when he read one of my manuscripts, we had a terrible argument about it. Never have I solved such a case, he said. He was absolutely adamant. Sometimes I wonder if he's from another planet, don't you? I do like this fireplace. It's one of the best things I've seen since we arrived in the country, in fact. Although, I do yearn for a Japanese kotatsu. Putting your legs under a warm blanketed table is so comforting. Do be careful, Mr. Naruhodo. Do not mistakenly put your feet into the fire, will you? You would suffer terrible burns, you know. I worry sometimes about how Susato-san sees me. Alright, Sholmes. Mr. Sholmes seems to be making funny faces at something on his desk. I thought he said he was going to come with us to Mr. Shamsby's room. No doubt he's preparing something, Mr. Naruhodo. Something amazing. And he's doing it while asleep. Is there no limit to the man's talents? This enormous machine takes up the entire desk, doesn't it? It's really very imposing. Ah, Ali's great analysis cap, yeah. It can analyze anything at all, you know. But I've never seen anyone actually using it. Well, it's his invention, so I don't know how to operate it. Why don't you get it to analyze its own operation, then? Oh, Reno, you're razor sharp today, aren't you? Right. Oh. There's all sorts on these shelves. Chemistry apparatus, books, papers, and lots of things I've never seen before. It's all heaped up so high, I can't help feeling that the whole lot is going to topple at any moment. It looks as though it might topple, and yet it doesn't. The epitome of Mr. Sholmes' brilliance. I don't get it. As it happens, I'm quite well practiced when it comes to stacking shelves myself. Just the other day, the shelf in my office finally gave way under the strain, though. It looks as though it might topple, and it does. Yes, the epitome of your disarray. I really don't get it. Alright. This is Mr. Sholmes' famous violin. The one he found being sold for a song at a pawnbrokery. What's it called again? A shoddy something? Oh yes, this wonderful instrument features in the Adventures of Sherlock Sholmes. It is a world-famous Stradivarius. What? Stradivarius, Mr. Naruhodo. Strigivore? Are you even trying now? We'll come back to this another time, I think. Yeah. Couldn't have said it better myself. Let's go outside. Oh. Nobody around here in the outside. Okay. Alright. We're not gonna examine anything here, though, so we'll just... Should we go inside the crime scene first, or... Or go to prison? We'll go to the closest place. We'll go inside here, into Mr. Shamsby's room. Oh, hello again, Inspector Gregson. What are you doing here? Well, we were hoping to have another look around, actually. The lawyer representing the defendant has a right to examine the scene, as I'm sure you're aware. Yeah, I know the score. Oh, yeah, one other thing. The soap on the ledge outside the window. Did you find it? With the tea in it? Yeah, we found it alright. And there was a small amount of tea in it, as you said. I knew it. It's with the identification section of the yard now. They're looking into it. The results should be available later today. That is wonderful news. Thank you. Pretty impressive performance in court this morning. Sorry? Nothing. Forget it. Just make sure you don't disturb anything in here. Oh. Oh. Right. Let's see, did anything change here? No. Are you looking for new clues, Inspector? On Lord Van Ziek's orders, yeah. Don't come back till you've got something for me, he says. Tuh. Oh dear, poor you. Yeah, poor me. Who's the water to search every bleeding nook and cranny of this place? I don't know what he expects, to be honest. Thank goodness for warm chips is all I can say. Well, at least he's honest. If you ran out of change, you wouldn't even have any light, let alone heat. For the needy, London's winters can be very harsh. That is true, but if you think about it, even the wealthy would find themselves freezing if they ran out of small change. London's winters can be very harsh for the forgetful too, then. Frankly, I'm starting to wonder if Sato-san and I are gonna make it to spring. That is true, we don't even have a meter at Baker Street, let alone a gas stove. Look how dark the stain on the floor is underneath the meter here. Look how dark the stain on the floor is underneath the meter here. Yes, from all the water dripping out after the ice coins melted, as you established in court this morning. It's a very large and obvious stain, isn't it? Mr. Shamsphere must have used an awful lot of ice coins, I suppose. It was an ingenious idea, I'll give him that. Or maybe he used one of his frozen tea coins? Nah, that can be it. Ah, the ill-fated teacups from which the two men drank on the ill-fated night. During their heated literary debate, yes. Who's stronger, Romeo or Juliet? Sounds like it was quite a discussion. Now I think of it, I am sure that the two lovers in the play ended their lives with poison. That's fiction, Mr. Sato. Let's hope it stays that way. Huh. Oh. So it turns out that Mr. Shamsphere wasn't eating the soap at all. That's right. The mystery of why he had it on a plate whilst holding a fork in his hand is solved. Yes, to prise his latest ice coin out of its mold. And in the process, he accidentally broke the bar of soap in two. It certainly was hard to imagine, let alone deduce. Well, truth is sometimes the most unbelievable. The sun never shines in this room thanks to that depressing bricked-up window. Yet, with enough determination, you can always remove the bricks to set us some soap outside, can't you? That sounds like a very wise life lesson, Mr. Sato. Only if we plan to follow a life of crime, Mr. Naruhodo. That's fair. Alright. Mr. Holmes, what are you up to over there? What a question indeed. Was it not your good self who asked me to attend the scene? Or, what are you doing here, Sholmes? What are you up to over there? What are you doing here? Dear me, once a great detective, one is always under scrutiny, it seems. Is now the time, Mr. Sholmes? Are you about to show us your forensic talents in action as you promised? With the greatest of pleasure, my dear madam. What's all this? All this is precisely what you requested, Mr. Naruhodo. Sherlock Holmes' sensational skin print seeker gun. Moments ago, I took a sample from the teacup that was used by the victim. A sample from Mr. Shakespeare's cup? Each individual leaves microscopic secretions on everything he or she touches. A sample of those secretions is all I need to produce this, a refined indicator solution. By liberally spraying the room with this chemical, everything the victim touched is instantly revealed with the aid of these goggles. Here, try them on. There. Now, spray the chemical indicator about and all will be revealed. Spray. How do I do that exactly? A little press of A on the area you're interested. A little press of A on the area you're interested in is all that is required. Like this. What is that stuff? It's like fog. A suspension of the chemical indicator in a pressurized gas. It is the most efficient way to cover a large area. That was another invention I discovered incidentally whilst I was developing this idea. As you do. Go ahead, try it, my dear fellow. We may learn something interesting about the victim's movements on the night in question. Well, there's nothing to lose, I suppose. Let's explore. Alright. What are we gonna spray? The brick window. Ooh. A lot of stuff there. The pants. Oh yeah. The gas meter, definitely. The lamp. No. The wooden plank. This wooden plank. Oh, look at all this here. Ah yes, interesting. A multitude of the victim's handprints. Why are there so many of them on the floor in this one spot? Ooh, perhaps he had a bad fall just here. There's nothing obvious that he would have tripped over, though, is there? I wonder. Personally, I often stumble when there's nothing obvious to trip over. I think that is something only a great detective would do, Mr. Sholmes. Well, this is quite a puzzle. Handprints all over the floor. Yeah, there's no obvious explanation. Come on, guys, just rip off the goddamn thing. Seriously? Okay. I guess we're gonna leave that for later. The soap. Teacups. The boxes. The painting. Look! There are dozens of handprints here. So there are. A great many indeed. So much so that it is hard to make out any one individual print, in fact. Grr, it sends a chill down my spine. Perhaps he was leaning against the wall while he admired this picture? Unlikely, I would say. It is a rather dull scene, after all. And without wishing to state the obvious, you wouldn't generally admire a picture from such close quarters, I feel. Oh, very true, Mr. Sato. It is a bit of a mystery, then. What could this mean? Well, we sprayed Mr. Sholmes' amazing skin print indicator all over this room, didn't we? We did, but there are two places in particular that are of interest, I would say. The handprints on the floor there. And on the wall by the picture, you mean? Yes, and I think the floor warrants closer investigation. I won't be a moment. Oh. What is it, Mr. Sada? Look here, Mr. Naruhodo. One of the floorboards has popped out. One of the... You mean... It's a secret hiding place? Excellent work, Mr. Sato. So, what do we have in here? Oi! What are you not doing? Inspector Gregson? Send us all right this minute. It's my job to investigate that. No need, Inspector. You continue to dig in your portion of chips whilst we dig around under the floor here. You fancy talks put me off my field anyway, Soames. A little bit of evidence is exactly what I need. Wow, a secret hiding place under the floor. What a find! It is not a hiding place you could make use of in Japan. I don't think I could lift a straw tatami mat. Tatami mat. No, I know, but I never expected one of these wooden floorboards to move either. It's got me wondering about the wall over there too. Aren't you curious? Oh! I'll investigate it once. There's nothing behind the picture, sadly. Only the wall. How disappointing. But then, how do you explain the handprints? I really can't think why anyone would have been touching the wall over and over in one place like that. Oh. There you are. A print for you. Oh. Thank you very much. His invention can make prints too? Now then. I wonder if Inspector Gregson has found anything under the floor there. I'm desperate to know! So am I! Inspector? Excuse me. I'd love to know if there's anything hidden underneath that floorboard there. Allow me to ask Gregson now. After all, we are well acquainted. Inspector Gregson, really, it's been too long. What is it, Soames? I thought perhaps you might show me what you found there, seeing as we're such good friends. We're not friends. No, I suppose not. A dismal failure. Yeah, I heard. I'd kill to know what was under that floorboard. Alright then, fair's fair. What? You did discover the hiding place after all. I suppose I should at least fill you in. Really, Inspector? Thank you. Do it quickly, my dear fellow. If there's one thing I know about this man, it is that he blows with the wind, as fickle as the weather. Oi, stop making me out to be some kind of nut. There were 3 items under the floor there. A newspaper clipping, a photographic print, and a tin box. Now, what do you want to know? What's in the box? Now, this tin box looks interesting, doesn't it? Might I suggest, Inspector, that you open it? If you were to find something inside that reveals the truth behind this case, I wouldn't be in the least surprised. Yeah, funnily enough, I already had a look. It's completely empty. What? Shakespeare, give us a clue, man. You didn't even have the chance to utter a word, Mr. Naruhodo. But anyway, at least we found out what's inside the box. Yeah, thin air. It's empty. Rather like how I feel inside. Is there nothing more to this box, then? I wonder. Alright, Looks like this was cut out of the paper about 3 months ago. It's about a convict who got sick and died while he was serving up time in Manchester. How terrible. It made the headlines down here in London as well. The bloke had been sentenced to death, you see, but nature got him first. Oh my goodness, he had committed a capital offence? Man by the name of Shelton, nice piece of work into burglaries and murder. They say the old he'd knocked off was worth about £1,000. A hoard of treasure, you mean? Jewelry and the like, but he'd hidden it somewhere, and no one knows where. And now he's dead. The papers loved it, of course. £1,000 lost en route to hell, or some such was the headline. Does it not strike you, then? Why such an article would be so carefully ensconced under the floor? I suppose now you mention it, it does seem a bit odd. Perhaps I'll go over the paperwork we've got on Shelton back at the yard and see if I can turn anything up. Huh. Alright, well. You do that, Gregson. Good luck to you. Alright. So, this is the photograph I found. Looks reasonably recent to me. Yes, it would appear to have been taken on the street in front of the house here. And the gentleman on the left is Mr. Garridup, the landlord, of course. But who's the young man on the right? Mr. Garridup's son, perhaps? Perhaps you can take that print if you like. Really? Are you sure? We can presume, therefore, that the author already knows. The identity of the young fella, that is. Is that true? Well, it's too bad if we do. Unfortunately for you lot, legal information isn't one of my pastimes. My dear Inspector, if I may be so bold as to point something out. Pastimes are for one's leisure, but this is for work. All the more reason I'm not telling you. A dismal failure! Yeah, I heard. I wonder why a photograph like this was hidden underneath the floor. I mean, Mr. Shakespeare himself isn't in it. Photographic prints are still rare treasures. Photographic prints are still rare treasures in the East End. I imagine Mr. Garridup was rather delighted to have been immortalized. He probably made a proud present of it. I'm not sure about that. Oh, look! It is that lovely kitty cat. What was its name? It's Mr. Natsume's, isn't it? I don't think we ever asked him, actually. Why don't we call it, Wagahe? You know, like Mr. Natsume refers to himself in Japanese. I wonder how he got in there. Clever little cat. Oh, wonderful. Well then, Wagahe, here's something delicious I bought for you from the cat's meat... From the cat's meat man. You had cat food in your hand this whole time, Susato? Without even knowing that there's a cat here? He couldn't be happier now. Look, I just hope you can bring some happiness to his owner, too. Meow. That was a cheeky little meow, Wagahe. What are you trying to say, huh? Oh, but he is so adorable. I could sit and watch him forever. I think he may not appreciate that after a while. And we have an investigation to get back to? Alright. So maybe we go upstairs and ask Mr. Garrideb about the picture. Just a thought. Manchester's Strangeways prison announced the death of convicted murderer and burglar Selden by natural causes in the early hours this morning. He had been suffering with fever since the end of October. Alerted by the shouts of his fellow cellmate, Uncle Sarah find okay. Yeah, alright. Let's go upstairs. Maybe we'll even find Mr. Sholmes up there too. Mr. Garrideb appears to be out. Oh well, I suppose we'll just have to come back again later. Oh. I suppose we will. Let's go outside again. And into the hospital or the prison. Let's go check out Mr. Natsume. There he is. Oh, Mr. Natsume is back. So he is. Mr. Natsume, hello. I am a cat. Sorry? I don't know who Mr. Natsume is, or Herlock Sholmes. I don't know about courts, or trials, or old Baileys. I am a cat. That is what I am. Just a cat. Mr. Naruhodo, he's trying to escape from reality. Trying to? He already has. Completely. So, what is your name then? As yet, I have no name. Mr. Naruhodo, he hasn't fully thought out his new identity yet. Maybe it's not too late to bring him back to reality. Do you think you could open your eyes for us, Mr. Natsume? I'm not a cat. It worked. He's back in the real world. What's going on? What's going to become of me? No! Don't answer that! It's obvious! My accursed soul is never going to escape this accursed fate! Mr. Natsume, no! This morning's proceedings in court prove that there is hope. Yes, locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire was brilliant, but the Reaper is omnipresent in court, in my lodgings, here, there, everywhere. What's he looking straight at me for? I think perhaps there are some things we should discuss. Oh, yes. Yes, we must. Alright then. Let's talk about this. Mr. Natsume, it's nothing much, but it's been too long since I've been offered a present with that delightfully humble etiquette of our homeland. What? You're too kind. I accept it gladly. Sorry, but I wasn't trying to give it to you, actually. Oh. Have I shown you this before, Mr. Natsume? Oh, yes, sweet aroma of our beloved homeland. It shows that the wearer is a defense lawyer. It means nothing in Great Britain, of course, but I still wear it. Oh, I know exactly how you feel, locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. My Haramaki belly band! I don't feel right without it! Your Haramaki belly band? It's perfect for the cold English winters. Just the thing to keep my tummy warm. Yeah, I see the link. Almost. Mr. Natsume, about this receipt. It occurs to me now that it was those confounded books that saw me arrested the first time, too. Oh yeah, I suppose that's true. After I spent my precious pennies on them, that is the thanks I get. Now I don't know when I'll read them. No, not when. If I may very well hate them too much to open their covers. I don't know that we can blame the books for everything that's happened, Mr. Natsume. Okay. It was a bit of a long shot, but... Alright. Let's talk, Natsume. In my whole life, have I ever been so moved as I was today? No! Of course, if I cast my mind back, there were perhaps one or two other occasions that moved me more. But if I just block those out, the today being in that courtroom was... It was the most moving experience of my life, locum student Naruhodo, Esquire. You're too kind. Scalding Yard found the remaining tea, just as we deduced, and are analyzing it as we speak. There's nothing wrong with that tea. They won't find a drop of poison in it. That's a solemn, sworn, Suzaki certainty. Tell me, did you both drink the tea at the same time that night? Oh yes, most definitely. Remember, drink the tea while it's hot. We both poured it down our throats like it was a hot bath for our bellies. And at the time, you were both completely fine. As shown by the fact that he and Mr. Shamspeare then engaged in the Romeo and Juliet match. I suppose the focus of tomorrow's proceedings will be how the poison was taken by the victim then. That rotten Shamspeare. What have I ever done to him? You don't recall him taking issue with you over anything you've done recently? I've been holed up in my room, immersed in books. I don't recall anything at all. Right. But what I don't understand is why he didn't let me know sooner. Let you know what, Mr. Natsume? About the soap, of course. What else? Oh dear. Are you struggling with such a meager stipend? Of course I am. If I had money, I wouldn't have chosen to live in a cursed existence in such accursed lodgings. Oh yeah, you said it's because the place is cursed that it's so cheap, didn't you? Exactly. Especially the room that I rent. The spirit of that capital offender who lived there still haunts the place, and it's trying to kill me. Capital offender? Might I ask, local student Mr. Naruhodo, Esquire, that the next time you visit me, you bring scores of super soft soaps? Capital offender? Are you talking about this guy? What's this? It's a newspaper cutting that we found in Mr. Shamspeare's room. Ah, so he knew, did he? Sorry? About this man, Selden, a convicted killer, and the evil spirit behind the curse that afflicts my lodgings. What? He's already taken one young man's life, and now he's trying to take the life of another, a miserable, mustached, much maligned Japanese man. Mr. Natsume, if you know something, please, you must tell us. Tell us everything you can about this evil spirit. Alright, here we go. The truth is, I didn't know the details myself until very recently. That Selden man was arrested about a year ago now, and at the time he was hiding out in lodgings at Mr. Garadab's house. What? He lived where you do now?
That's right, yes. Exactly where I live now. In my very room.
Oh my, your room was previously occupied by a criminal found guilty of a capital offense.
But before his sentence could be carried out, he died in prison. That was 3 months ago now. And that is when it started. The curse.
What really is this curse you keep mentioning, Mr. Natsume?
It's already caused one death. A few months after the criminal passed away in prison, a man died in the room. The man who rented it after Selden, in fact.
Let me guess, the young man in the picture with Mr. Garrett?
The poor lodger, he was found dead in mysterious circumstances. The room was locked from the inside.
Locked from the inside? Exactly like the case we're dealing with now. So that's the convict's curse, is it?
Yes. Well, that was the start of it.
Huh. Do you have any idea how the lodger before you passed away, Mr. Natsume?
The official cause of death was asphyxia. When they discovered the body, the room was full of gas.
Gas?
I only found that out after I'd signed the lease. When Mr. Gertup came to tell me later, I couldn't stop myself trembling. In fact, if I'd known beforehand, I'd probably have been too scared to take the room. Landlord's lease, luckily legal.
Lucky for Mr. Garrett, maybe, but not so lucky for poor Mr. Natsume. And now you believe this curse is affecting you.
It is. At first, I just felt as though I was being watched all the time.
And then you talked about having nightmares, didn't you?
The dead are trying to take me with them. They come for me and try to suffocate me. Just when I'm struggling to breathe, I wake up. And then the room is as cold as ice.
But why is your room so cold?
London winters are too cold to bear without any heating on overnight. But for some reason, even though I light the stove before I climb to bed at night, the pilot light always goes out and the room fills with gas.
But that's terrible. That's exactly the same situation as what led to the previous occupant's death. And then there's what happened to Mr. Shamspeare last night when he was mysteriously poisoned. There's clearly more to that incident than can be explained by a curse, though. Whatever can be the cause of all these strange happenings in Mr. Garrett's room? Maybe we'll have to ask the man himself. Do you think it has something to do with the gas meter? Mr. Natsume, yeah. Okay. Usually I would get a hint that we're done here, but something tells me we're not done yet. Okay. Maybe he knows what the other occupant looks like? If you show him the picture? No. Yeah, I already tried that. Well, what else can I show? Alright, well, I ran out of conversation topics, so I guess I'll see you later, Natsume. Do you think Garrett will be back now? Let's find out. Ah, you're here now, Mr. Garrett. Right, bally business it is for me now. Getting out on getting out and about. Were you at the Old Bailey by any chance?
Naturally, fate of my lodgings hang in the balance and all that. Not a trial to miss.
The fate of what's already been dubbed your haunted lodgings, yes.
Of course, the place has caused quite a stir around the capital on more than one occasion already. As the old haunted lodgings or some such.
Ah, well, at least he knows.
Makes you wonder what the blazes is going on, don't you?
Yes, I'm sure it does. In fact, thinking back to Mr. Natsume's other trial just 2 days ago, you were at the Old Bailey then as well, weren't you? Testifying with your wife about what happened?
Stopped off at the prison on the way home, in fact. Beastly business.
I see.
So, what brings you to my haunted abode today, eh?
Well, let's talk.
Some fishy fellow from the Far East and a failed actor chap of questionable character, eh? Yes, the house does seem to have become something of a magnet for rum fellows of late. Thanks to that bally curse.
The convict's curse, you mean?
Heard the stories, have you? Rotten scoundrel is arrested here, and the next chap in the room goes and kills over. And there was that woman who dropped dead just outside on the street, not to mention the act yesterday. My next, eh? Well, you can't help but get the collywobbles, can you?
When you say the woman who dropped dead outside on the street, do you mean Miss Green? Because Miss Green, who was stabbed by the knife, and Mr. Shakespeare, who was poisoned last night, are both very much alive still.
Yes, well, so is that blasted convict's curse, it seems.
Personally, I should be quite content with such lodgings. A bath, a toilet, and a fireplace. A fascinating history. Why, it sounds like the lap of luxury. I'm not so sure about that.
Well, there's no bath or toilet included, and no fireplace either.
But you do look out for your tenants, don't you? By watching the rise and fall of the flames in your gas lamps up here?
Yes, never hurts to keep an eye on things, in case there are any mishaps or such like.
I think you've had your mishap already, sir. That's not helpful, Mr. Sholmes.
Heaven forgive me. The words just came to my lips. Some fishy fellow from the Far East and a failed actor chap of questionable character, eh?
There's no need for that, Mr. Garrett. That's right. Mr. Natsume is in no way fishy.
He is undeniably peculiar, however.
Is it right that he took the vacancy immediately after the previous tenant passed away?
Yes, that's right. I asked the estate agent to find someone, and he popped up the very same day. Never come across a chap as so keen for a place with a background, as it were.
I don't think it was the room's background he was keen on so much as the cheap rent, actually. So, how long has Mr. Shakespeare been lodging under your roof?
I'd fail that, the chap. Let me see. Oh, of course. Yes, it's been 3 months now. Quite sure of it.
Only 3 months. He's quite new here too, then. And to what do you owe your certainty in that regard, Mr. Garrett, if I might ask?
Well, it was that Selden scoundrel, as it happens.
Selden? The convict, you mean? Do Selden and Shakespeare have some kind of connection, then?
That convict chap, Selden, passed away in the clink 3 months ago now, you see. Some malady or other.
Yes, we've seen the report from the newspaper at the time.
Well, it was only 3 days later that the tragedian showed his face. The actor fella.
Really?
Yes, I remember it quite distinctly.
'Tis small, this world we inhabit. Prithee, landlord, hear my request. I, the humble shamspear, do desire to take thy room on the middle floor, offered erewhile for rent.
Terribly sorry and whatnot, but that won't be possible. Already have a lodger on the middle floor. Ground floor room's vacant there.
Nothing can be made out of nothing. Let me repeat mine will unto thee.
Those curs must be muffling your ears. The room on the middle floor is taken. It's ground floor or nothing.
Very well, we have an accord.
Glad to hear it. Welcome to
Lo, Shamspear dance to celebrate.
From what I heard in court today, sounds like the champ was thieving gas. And he was 3 months in arrears with the rent too. Yes, the fellow was a bally player, alright?
Thank you for your candor, Mr. Garadap. We are most grateful. By way of appreciation, allow me to say 1 or 2 words. Give me my robe, put on my crown. I have immortal longings in me. What's happened to you? Shakespeare, my dear fellow. One of his most famous lines. I wish to divulge my own learnings of the subject, for I have a turn for literature too, you know. Perhaps you could turn your attention to more apt lines, then? Alright. Let's start with this. Mr. Garadap, could I show you this?
Been quite a couple of days, as you can imagine. I'm afraid I'm rather tired. I haven't really got the energy in the old eyeballs, to be honest with you.
Some other time, then. The soap. Really? Come on, man. He was forging coins in your own building. How can you not respond to that? Mr. Garadap, about this photographic print.
Ah, yes, the scene. I thought the bally fellow was as dead as a doornail. Jolly welcome news that he is alive, for him and for the room.
For the room? What do you mean?
Well, it matters, you know. When I come to let the room next time...
What? When I come to let the room next time, people will ask.
And there's a world of difference between a room where someone died and a room where someone nearly died.
They sound awfully similar to me.
Ah, an ultimate gas meter, yes. Decent fireplace in here, of course, so no need for a gas stove. But there's nothing better than a gas lamp for reading in bed, eh?
Actually, Mr. Natsume mentioned that the gas supply to his room kept failing.
Yes, that I had the gas company look into it, but they couldn't find a thing wrong. A chap must have been imagining things.
I don't think he was imagining it. The poor man woke up unable to breathe.
I think it was put down to ghosts, that's where it was some such in the end. Place must be haunted.
Sure. With spirits, yeah. Oh. Come on, man. Somebody's been touching up your wall. You're not interested in that? Come on. This convict was living in one of your rooms. You're not interested in that? Mr. Garadap, could I ask you to look at this photograph? Is that your son who's with you there?
No, not at all. He was a lodger here once. Duncan Ross was his name.
Duncan Ross?
A street photographer happened to be passing, so I asked him to take a shot. Just for kicks, really.
Was he by any chance the lodger before Mr. Natsume?
Yes, that's right. Ah, the young gentleman who died in the room in mysterious circumstances. Just what Mr. Mustache was waiting for, just what Mr. Mustache was waiting for, one might say. Yes, young Duncan lived in the room at the top of the first flight of stairs before that Japanese chap. Would you mind telling us a little more about him? Yes, Duncan Ross, young chap, was attending art school. I had to work to pay for it, mind. Moved into the middle room about a year ago, after that criminal Selden was arrested. Young students are always on the hunt for rooms with a history behind them. A history of cheap rent, maybe, yeah. Yes, well, anyway, it was one morning about a month ago now. I hadn't quite worked out the old trick of watching the gas lamps to see what my lodgers are up to the time. So sadly, I was rather tardy to discover what had happened. The smell of gas had alerted me, it was. Ah, yes, synonymous with the smell of death. Called the police straight away, of course, and the officer kicked the door off its hinges. But once we got inside, we all barely collapsed. Because of the gas? Yes, the room was full of it. Nowhere at all. Stove must have gone out while the poor chap was sleeping in his bed. So Mr. Ross suffocated to death. Of course, the police gave me a sound ticking off because the gas pipes were so old and all that. Can't tell you how much it set me back to have the lot replaced all over the house. But even after you had all that work done, Mr. Natsume says the same thing. That the stove goes out at night whilst he's asleep in bed. Well, that's the Benny curse, the convict's curse. I've done my duty as a landlord now. Someone's feeling defensive. Ah, that reminds me, actually. Yes? About young Duncan, the night before the poor chap perished. He'd been writing a letter of affection to a young lady. A love letter, you mean? Yes, where did I put it now? Ah, here it is. Left it on my desk. If you'll excuse me, let me see now. What does it say? To my most beautiful and charming sweetheart. Do you think that we should be reading such a personal piece of correspondence? My dear Mrs. Sato, that is precisely why I preface my reading with, if you'll excuse me. I will not excuse you, Mr. Sholmes, no. Sadly, he didn't address it, though, so I have no means of delivering the thing. Rather sad, really. I see. That's gonna play on my mind. But really, the identity of Mr. Ross's sweetheart has no bearing on the case. I think we should leave well alone. Yeah, I suppose you're right. Indeed, the intended recipient's address is missing, however. There is a name attributed to the man's most beautiful and charming sweetheart. Mr. Sholmes, please, I have already had to chastise you about this once. My undying love to you, my colorful darling, Olive Green. Olive Green? The woman who was plunged into a coma after a knife plunged into her back outside this house 5 days ago? The victim of the last case Suzuki-san was in court for, who regained consciousness only yesterday? Is it just chance that her name has come up now? Could it possibly be a mere coincidence? Mr. Naruhodo, whatever can this mean? Reading personal correspondence can have its merits, you see, Mr. Sato. Alright then. Well, thank you for your time. I think we know where to go next. We'll do it manually this time, step by step. We'll go downstairs. Then we'll go to Briar Road. And then we'll go to Miss Green's hospital bed. There we go. Mr. Naruhodo, I have just finished speaking with the doctor. It seems Miss Green is well enough to be discharged at last. This is good news, but hopefully, just before she leaves... What is it? Miss Green! What was that? She clearly just hit something behind her back.
One moment, I'll be with you in a jiffy. Oh, hello everyone. What are you all doing here? The doctor said I can be discharged, so I'm just getting my things together.
Miss Green, what were you just doing?
Oh, nothing really. I was just about to try some medicine the doctor prescribed for me, that's all.
Well, we were hoping to have another quick chat with you, if that's alright.
Oh, I don't really have anything to tell you.
Alright, she's definitely behaving strangely. Let's see if we can't coax something out of her. It's wonderful news that you're going to be discharged, Miss Green.
Oh, yeah. I mean, thank you. Once people are better, the hospital staff don't want them lingering and wasting space. Not people like me, anyway. So, I don't think I should keep anyone waiting. I probably shouldn't stand around and chat.
She certainly doesn't seem to be in the mood to talk. That's for sure. Huh. Alright, we didn't get to examine the room fully last time, so we'll do that. This time, instead of starting from right to left, this time we'll start from left to right. Oh. Okay. I was really interested in examining this fallen thing here, but never mind. Yeah, I remember the picture now. The picture we saw here. Look, there's a photograph in this frame here. There we go. Oh yes, it is a picture of a young gentleman. He looks to be about the same age as Miss Green, I would say. Perhaps the young woman's special someone, do you think? My, Mr. Naruhodo, I didn't know you had a sense for matters of the heart. Not in the least. I sincerely said the first thing I thought of. Alright, yeah. We looked at that, we looked at this. Luggage, stuff like that. Oh. Windows open. Ah, this looks like the treatment notes for whoever is occupying this bed. Let's see. Do not permit to run around the hospital. The patient doesn't seem to be here at the moment, so he or she is probably running around the hospital then. Oh dear, how worrying. What's worrying is why they haven't discharged the patient yet. There are all sorts of medicines in this cabinet, look. I'm not sure if it's safe leaving them in reach of everyone like this. Yes, you're right. I can imagine if you were peckish, you might try a whole bottle or two. Well, at least there seems to be a little lock to secure the cabinet doors. I don't imagine that would stop you if you were hungry. I worry that you break the lock. Hunger doesn't turn me into a criminal, you know, Mr. Sato. Oh. Alright then. This is the bottle that Miss Green was just about to drink from when we arrived. Yes, she looked rather preoccupied, didn't she? Perhaps it's very bitter. I can't stand bitter medicine. I suppose that could be it. In fact, when a doctor prescribes me medicine for a number of days, I always take it all at once. Oh no! Well, if you have to take something you don't like, it's best to get it all out of the way in one go, isn't it? Oh dear, and I thought it was Miss Green I should be worrying about at the moment. What are you talking about? This is the card that Miss Green was looking at so intently before, isn't it? Mr. Naruhodo, we shouldn't be peeking at a young woman's private effects. Right, I should save peeking for gentlemen's effects only. You mustn't do that either. And maybe you, Mrs. Sato, shouldn't be peeking into a young man's mind either, Right, exactly. Stop it. It's not nice. Alright, Miss Green, what do you say to this? Miss Green, we were hoping to ask you about someone. Mr. Duncan Ross? You knew him, didn't you? Oh no.
I'm so sorry. The bottle of medicine fell down when she did.
Oh, Miss Green, are you alright? I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to startle you like that.
No, it's alright. I just wasn't expecting it. Why do you know about Duncan?
Mr. Ross had been writing a letter when he passed away. The landlord found it in his room. It was a very personal letter to you.
It was at the art school. That's where I met Duncan, a year ago now. He was waiting to fund his studies. He dreamed of becoming a professional artist one day.
And the two of you became romantically involved?
Yeah, that's right. We were very much in love. We were engaged to be married, actually. That's why I decided to move into a cheaper room to save money for the wedding.
And that's what led him to Mr. Garrideb's.
Yeah, he told me he'd found the worst, but cheapest. He told me he'd found the worst, but cheapest room in the entire East End. And then, 1 month ago, that's what it happened.
We are so terribly sorry, Miss Green.
Well, it's all in the past now, I suppose.
Poor Miss Green. She looks desperately sad. I was starting to think that's just her look. But now I see that she has every reason to feel the universe is against her.
I do hope you won't think I'm being rude, but would you mind fucking off now? I have to leave the hospital soon.
Oh, sorry, we didn't mean to hold you up. Of course, we'll be on our... Mr. Naruhodo! Surely you are not about to leave? That's quite out of the question. What? Mr. Sholmes, I didn't realize you were here. But of course I was, my dear fellow. Watching intently from the shadows as always. Well, make your presence known next time. Mr. Sholmes, what's this about? Something which occurs to me with some regularity, Mrs. Sato, is this. Why do detectives insist on such an ex post facto modus operandi? Why solve a case after it's happened, instead of preventing a case before it happens? That is what sets a great detective apart. What do you mean? There's a case waiting to happen under our very noses, Mr. Naruhodo. So let us avert disaster. Let us prevent this case from ever happening with nothing but careful observation. Alright? All the clues you need are set before you. You need only look, and you cannot fail to see. You can do it, Mr. Naruhodo. I know you can. What is he oh. That mouse seems to be dead. Look, I didn't notice it there before, did you? I think perhaps it drank the medicine that spilled out of the bottle. But that's the bottle that Miss Green was about to drink from when we arrived. You don't think... I see you have come to appreciate the true nature of the scene. That of a tragedy about to take place. Yeah, I think it's falling into place. Miss Green, the contents of the bottle you had before has spilled out on the floor, and the poor mouse that drank it has sadly died.
Oh!
I think it's clear that the bottle must have contained a powerful poison. Don't worry, I will attend to the mouse presently.
Miss Green, were you intending to go the same way as that rodent? To take your own life?
Once we'd left, you would have put it to your lips again, wouldn't you? And taken the poison?
No!
Miss Green, please! Please talk to us! Well, there we go.
"10 seconds later, and we would have arrived at a very different scene here. In all probability, we would not have enjoyed this most delightful conversation. Of course, perhaps it hasn't been quite so delightful from your perspective, Miss Green.
Actually, in a way, now that everything's out in the open, I feel like a weight has been lifted.
Tell me, how did you acquire that medicine?
Well, with this being at the hospital and all, when the doctor comes to examine me in the mornings, he always leaves the medicine cabinet open for a while. So I snuck this out when he wasn't looking.
It conspicuously lacks a label. I wonder what it contains."
I'm afraid I don't really know. But I thought if I drank it, it might just stop the pain somehow.
Oh please, Miss Green, don't talk of such things. Well, it seems clear now that it contains poison. Yes, that poor little mouse is proof of that.
Oh no! Oh, it's all my fault. What have I done?
"I shall remove this to my office, Miss Green. I take it you have no objection?"
No, none.
Huh. Is that it then? Miss Green, about this.
Oh, could you just hold that there for a moment? Don't move.
Sorry?
Oh no, these settings are all wrong.
Is it wrong that I feel so thoroughly rejected? Okay. It definitely feels as though this card must be relevant. I mean, when we first arrived, Miss Green was standing with it in her hand in what can only be described as a very tense atmosphere. Yes, it may very well be related to whatever incident Mr. Sholmes believes was about to happen here. Perhaps we should ask Miss Green about it. Oh, okay. Neither the sender's name or address appear to be written on the envelope or the card.
I arrived by post from my home the day before the incident that put me in the hospital here.
I have information regarding the death of Duncan Ross. Come to the Slug and Salad on Briar Road at 5 p.m. on 17th. Don't tell anybody else about this letter or the meeting. It is a matter of utmost importance. Wait a minute. The 17th of this month? That's the day you were stabbed on Bar Road. And 5 p.m.
is precisely the time when the incident occurred. The Slug and Salad, yes, a pub on the northern corner of Briar Road.
Briar Road, being the street that Mr. Gerdab's house is on. Does this mean that...
Yeah, I'm sure you've guessed. That day when I was struck in the back by the knife, I was actually on my way to the slut and salad.
Goodness! So that's what you were doing on Briar Road that day.
I'm sure I didn't say anything before. I think I really would have to ask you to excuse me now. I've told you everything.
Yeah, I'm very sorry to have had to drag up such painful memories for you.
No, it's fine.
Miss Green, please promise us you won't try to do anything like that again.
Yeah, don't worry. Your detective friend has a bottle now anyway. And besides, I've been stabbed in the back and in a close shave with a bottle of poison, and I'm still here. I think I'm destined to see things through to the end. It might sound a little conceited, but, well, that's how all this has made me feel.
Leaving Miss Green and St. Bartholomew's behind, we made our way back to Baker Street with Mr. Sholmes. Well, it would appear we've reached the end of the investigative trail for today. Yeah, it's late. And, Mr. Naruhodo, did you discover anything that may be of use to you in court tomorrow, do you think? Details about Mr. Shamspeare, Mr. Gerdab's lodgings, the convict Selden. There are many facets to this case, and we're yet to see the heart... There are many facets to this case, and we're yet to see to the heart of it, if you ask me. That's my feeling, anyway. I can't help wondering about the results of the analysis. Into Mr. Natsume's tea, you mean? Yes, will they have found strychnine in it or not? Well, I fear that either way, it will be hard to escape the grip of our friend, Mr. Reaper. Oh dear. Yeah, Barack Van Zix. But I wish you every success, of course, and though I was late to rise this morning, tomorrow will be a new dawn. I intend to spring from my bed at a crisp hour and attend the trial. Mr. Sholmes, you're going to come? Indeed. Whatever happens, I shall be there, assuming my eyelids cooperate in the morning. Well, I think we've done all we can. All that's left is to remain focused and keep fighting for Mr. Natsume's cause until the very end. London, the world's most prosperous city, home to 6 million people. But away from the razzle-dazzle, down back alleys and behind bricked-up windows, the lonely lurk. Suzuki-san had battled long and hard with loneliness during his many months here, and so I felt it honor-bound to battle equally hard for my compatriot, to lift the curse that gripped him. As Mr. Sholmes said, tomorrow would be a new dawn for all of us. To be continued.